I don't think I'm gonna finish. I don't think I'm gonna finish. Yeah, I think it's hard when you first start, you look at small goals and you think that that's not attainable. I can't do that for a variety of reasons, right? I can't do this, I can't do that, or this is my limitations. That's not possible for me because of X, Y, and Z. The first hurdle for me was just doing a 10K, which was brutal, right? I could barely even run a mile on a treadmill. So just being able to do a 10K was a huge accomplishment for me, and I remember having a celebration after that race, and I was like so proud of myself that was at that point a big accomplishment, right? When you start thinking about bigger goals or bigger challenges in life, people always have excuses, including myself, right? So the biggest thing is I had to look myself in the mirror and acknowledge every excuse I'm making. Everything you're saying is an excuse, and then address those, admit that you're actually making excuses, and then deal with that excuse and eliminate it. Then you have nothing holding you back. You can do it, it's just a choice. So if something's important to you, you'll make time for it, and you just plan accordingly. Right? If you say, I don't have time for something, it just means it's not a priority. So making things a priority is the first step for me. Setting bigger goals and believing in yourself is the hard part. Right? You have to have the confidence and believe in it, and then it's still a risky endeavor. Telling myself, hey, 11 years you'll do a full Ironman, I was like, you're crazy, it's not gonna happen, right? Because that mindset, I wasn't thinking that big, and you didn't realize how many years of training it would take, or how much dedication it would take, or how many times you have to fall down, or how big that mountain is you have to climb to finally get there. So I would say, you can do it, it's just a matter of do you want to dedicate yourself. Depending on where you start, everybody has a different starting position as far as your base fitness and what your background is, and I think a lot of people can do a full Ironman. It's just a matter of, can you get through all those hurdles to try to attempt it. So sometimes you get caught up like talking too much about what you're gonna do as opposed to just doing it. But the skill set you learn from all that training applies directly to, like, I would say, running a business, and then also in your personal life, lead by example to show them how to do something as opposed to just keep telling the kids. Like, I think they see, okay, dad's doing this is what dad does, and this is how he operates. I think they learn a lot from just seeing you do it as opposed to telling them. So I think a lot of those things were intangible, like helping, like, I think with parenting, I would say, and also like with the business. And also just self-confidence, right? If you know you can do something, you have more confidence in yourself, you don't need somebody else to tell you you're great. Like, I don't need compliments, I don't need somebody else pat me on the back, It's like one of those things where you can be self-confident and not worry about all that stuff and not worry about the trivial stuff. All right, so I started my day off 3:30, set my alarm, and slept pretty good, actually. Didn't really have any problems falling asleep. Got up, had my routine scheduled out, ate my oatmeal, and went through all my checks of making sure I have all the bags packed before we actually leave. So the goal, we left pretty close to 4 a.m. Dallas took me down there and got there right when we wanted to. The special needs bags open at 4:30. T1 opens at 4:45. So we pulled in the parking lot right around 4:30. And she had to wait outside the gate, obviously. And then I can go into the stadium, drop off my other bags, and make sure my bike's ready and good to go. So that was pretty good. Low stress for me. It was just more just ready to do the race. Saw my buddy Talker and Elijah and T1 and getting ready. So got to talk to them before the race. Didn't really feel nervous at all. Just focused. I was thinking my mindset at that point, just kind of ready to do it. And the bus, you have to go all the way outside the stadium and try to find the bus, which is on the complete opposite side. So again, walking all the way around. A lot of walking before the race started. But I get there, it was great. Got there early, plenty of porta potties, didn't have to worry about that, and just got my mind ready for the swim. I wanted to get into like the middle group of the swim, but I quickly realized once we're getting ready to start, they're doing a countdown, like lined up for your corrals, and they've put up all the signs. The first sign, the first wave was basically sub 1 hour, and that's not me. So I was like, that's not me, I'll wait. The next one was 1 hour to 1:10, and then they didn't have a corral after that. And I'm looking around, there's like not that many people at the swim start. I just had to make a decision. I told everybody that I'd be getting in the water about 7:40, but I don't know where everybody was at. And so I quickly realized, like, just gotta go. So I was like, get in line for the 1 to 1:10. It's not how fast I am, but maybe with the current, I'll probably be in that speed anyway. So I decided to go. Everything was good, got in the water. We did not have to swim upstream, which I thought we would. So you get into this corral, you get in the water, you basically swim straight across the river for the first buoy, hard left. And the hardest part about the swim is that you go down the American River, and again, I'm going slow, and I didn't have any traffic. Nobody was really bothering me in front of me or behind me. We were all very similar paced. It was very relaxing and beautiful swim. Water was warmer than I anticipated, which was nice to start off. You get to the Sacramento River, and the current is much stronger. So as you're coming in, I was on the right-hand side of most of the swimmers, and as we're going left, I kind of drifted towards the middle of the swimmers, and I never saw an orange buoy. And these kayaks and jet skis and boats are all yelling at us with megaphones on, move to the right, move to the right, move to the right. And as I look up the sight, everybody in front of me is like trying, but the current is pushing you so hard, you can't possibly make that buoy. You can't get around it. So we all started swimming upstream as best we can, and a couple of swimmers got around the buoy, but we quickly realized like, you can't, where they placed it, because the current was so strong, you can't get around it. So I got close to it, but it was basically on my right-hand side, and then make a hard left, and then you really feel the current just pushing you straight down that chute, all the way down to the Tower Bridge, the Golden Bridge. But again, there's no buoys in sight, so it was interesting. There's a lot of logistics that were confusing. I felt my body, in Sacramento River, I felt my body getting colder and colder. And so my hands were getting cold, my feet were getting cold. I can just feel it. I just feel like the chills. So when I got out, I felt fresh because I kept looking at my heart rate. I was the 112 heart rate average, and I felt great. I was like, this is awesome. As I'm getting out, apparently Dallas and the kids, my parents, and Rusty didn't think I looked very well. I thought I looked great, but hindsight didn't look so fresh. But my plan was to walk it, but everybody else was jogging, so it appeared like he's falling apart and he's walking, something's wrong. But that's not what my brain was operating. My brain was like, you're sticking to your plan, you're executing, you're doing awesome. But it was like, what I was thinking was the opposite of what I appeared to be. So I walked all the way through T1, 1.1 miles. Took forever. Got inside, and they had the actual baseball stadium bathrooms open. So I saw a couple people jump there. I'm like, that was a great idea. Let's do that. I didn't think about that. Spontaneous. Let's do it. So I go in there. I use the restroom. It was like 10 degrees warmer in there. I was like, there's no rush to get out of here. So I stayed in there. I was like, I might as well just change the wetsuit. And I was like, you know what? Let's put on some sunscreen. Let's get the lotion off. So I was lotioning up the face, got the nose, get the ears. And I was like, oh, let's get the spray. Got the spray everywhere. Took my sweet time in there. Then I made my way, again, walking all the way to the bike. Luckily, I had all my warm clothes, arm warmers, socks. I had a cycling vest, gloves. So I got all that on, got the bike, head on the course. And apparently, I took almost 40 minutes, 39 and change. So it was, I think, a record for T1 in the inaugural event, which I was very proud of. That I wanted to make sure I could try to earn that award. So it took 40 minutes to get on the bike, and it was just so cold. I was trying to get my core temperature up because I knew on the bike it would be a big problem. And again, I was just trying to finish the race. So getting on the bike, just easy on the watts, getting out. Going down, it felt really abnormally easy, and I didn't understand why, but the wind was strong that day, and it was at my back the entire way down, 28 miles out to the turnaround, and I didn't notice that. So it felt abnormally easy. My brain was like, this is awesome. Look down the speedometer, every time I look down, it was about 22, 23 miles an hour. So I'm like, this is great, making good time, have a good bike split. Hit that turnaround, took off my vest. I had a plastic bag inside my jersey to keep me warm. Ripped out that bag, didn't need to overheat. And took a bottle, refilled my front hydration. Way back, it was very apparent now the headwind is hitting me, and that headwind was strong. They said after it was about 15, 20 miles an hour, constant wind, and then gusts up to like 35, 40 miles an hour. So the 28 miles back was extremely slow. So I went down to like an average of probably 12 miles an hour, and very demoralizing to do 28 miles at a slow pace. So then I quickly realized, okay, this is not going to be an easy bike ride. Halfway point, I was glad to get off that bike. The guy behind me was like, hey, you got my burger? And the guy's like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, you better not be eating my burger. It better still be there. I'm like, that's hilarious. That's a joke. I look over, and the guy actually had a cheeseburger, and he's going hard on it. I'm like, wow, okay, you can. So anyways, I get back on the bike. I stopped at the aid station, and I didn't need anything. I just needed to stretch my back. And they said, do you need water? No. Do you need Gatorade? No. Do you need anything? No. I just need a stretch. That's all I need to get off this bike. So that was a reset, hit the reset button, and I was like, you got to just power through this. You're not going to get through this unless you just power through it and get this thing over with. So I just forced myself to get through that bike, and I just never looked forward to doing a marathon in my life. I was so excited to do that marathon. As I'm finishing the bike, Dallas told me that she wasn't going to come back until the finish line. So I saw her in the morning. I said, okay, I'm not going to see anybody for the rest of the day, basically. And I was at the lowest point. That was like mentally at my lowest. I was like, man, it's like isolated. They're cleaning up the bike course. So anyways, just very mentally tough. As I'm coming through the stadium to get off the bike, Dallas and the kids are right there on the right-hand side and totally surprised me. So I saw them, I gave a big, finger point, and that really lifted my spirits and like just gave me a new sense of energy. And then I had so much emotion that I just choked up and just the floodgates opened. I couldn't help it. So I got very emotional and just like started like crying all the way through. And I had the glasses on, they were long gone, so I didn't know. Nobody saw me, but I just couldn't stop. I was just so choked up. I was like, man, I can do this, They're there, and it was tough. All right, so get out of T2, start the run. I was extremely excited, but the run I was most nervous about all the training, because you can't simulate that during training. So in my mind, my plan was I'm gonna go 10K, 6 miles, see how I feel. I was gonna do roughly 10-minute splits and just see what I'm working with here for how painful it is or how the heart rate's working. So I did the first 10K. I think, I saw my buddy Lauren and his brother-in-law Dean at about mile 4 or 5, somewhere in there. So say what's up to them. It was good to see them. Gave me a little boost of energy right there. So this is the first time you're running a marathon where it's hot in the very beginning, and then it gets colder as you keep going through the day. It gets colder, right? And then it hits nighttime, and I made it to about Discovery Park when it finally hit sunset, which was roughly about mile 11, 12, somewhere in there. So I didn't have any issues though, but I was starting to think like, okay, when is it going to hit the fan as far as cramps or maybe stomach problems or dehydration, whatever could happen. But nothing was happening. So I was like, well, let's just keep going. So I just kept that same pace. It started getting pretty tough. I was thinking about 15, 16. I was thinking, man, I got like 10 miles to go. It seemed like a long ways because when I was training, I like to talk, right? So I would talk to somebody and it just makes the time go by faster. When you're running isolated with not talking to anybody, it just seems like it's taking longer than it is. I found one guy on mile 19, that mile to kind of reset me, and that mile went by so fast because that's how my training was. I can just talk and run and just like on autopilot, and before you know it, you're done. I just kept saving as much energy I had. I could have gone faster, but I just held back because I did not want to bonk. I've bonked on plenty of marathons where you cramp up, and once you cramp up, that's a miserable feeling. I wanted to try to be as fresh as I could for the finish to see if I have a chance to run the whole race. So once you get into downtown, it's 2 mile loops around the Capitol. And at that point, I seemed like a lot of energy left relative to being out there for 13, 14 hours. So once you hear the downtown action, you got the crowd noise, you got tons of people out there, you can hear the announcer, you got loud music playing, there's tons of energy, they got like spotlights going. And so those 4 miles, I was like, I'm gonna pick up the pace, which is fun. I've never done that in a marathon where I've gone faster at the end. So I saw my parents down there, the kids again, and stopped, gave them high fives, you know, the whole bit, and that gave me some energy. They looked at me like they thought I'd be falling apart, but I felt pretty good, and I was still running strong. And so again, once I saw them, I picked up my pace gradually, probably about 15 seconds per mile or something. And then first loop, 2 miles, felt pretty good. Last 2 miles, like, let's just empty the tank out. And then I think my last mile was my fastest mile for the whole marathon. I did like a 9-minute mile. But yeah, so it felt surprisingly good. And at that point, I think it was just more a combination of caffeine and adrenaline taking over. And, you know, just the excitement of just trying to get to that finish line after a long day. So hit that finisher chute, looked who was behind me, trying to see who was in front of me, have a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a cushion. And I had no idea what I was going to do at the end. So I was like, man, I got to do something here. I don't know what. I was like, well, previously I was like, if I had enough energy, I would jump up, slap the backboard. But realistically, 14 hours of exercising, you're not going to have a whole lot of legs left, and it's going to be pretty embarrassing to jump. So let me just do something simple. So I figured I'd just do like a screen, two-fisted screen. And then at the last second, I'm like, screw it, just try it. So I just jumped up, slapped glass, and finished strong. But I was pumped with the adrenaline. It was a pretty exciting finish. And my parents were down there, my kids were down there, Rusty was down there. So it kind of capped off an amazing day, and just basically everything went according to plan. I didn't have any problems on the run, and that's what most surprised me the whole day. I was like, I not thought for sure at some point in 26 miles, my body's going to give out, my legs will give out, my heart rate's going to spike, dehydration, or something's going to happen. But everything kind of went according to plan, and that was the most surprising part of the day, and the most probably gratifying, obviously, to finish. So that was an amazing day.
Good that it's cold when you're running, but not when you're done.